Hello everyone, this is a video on rounding off. I'm going to show you how you round off. I've made steps or rules that you follow when you round off. The first rule is after the decimal point, so it means you're going to have a number and then you find the decimal point. All the numbers that are before the decimal point, you don't fiddle with them. So you get a decimal point. What do? You count the number of decimal places that you are required to round off to. When you get a question, it's going to say round off to 2 decimal place, or round off to 3 decimal place, or round off to 4 decimal place. So you find the decimal point, then you count 4 numbers if they say round off to 4 decimal place. And then say consider the number to the right of this point. Okay, let's look at an example. I'm going to do this step using an example. Example 1, they say write 0,26382 to 2 decimal place. So you are rounding off to 2 decimal number. Your number is 0,26382. The first thing it says find the decimal point. So you're going to be here. And then it says count the numbers after the decimal point to the right. So they said 2 decimal point. So I'm going to go here and count 1, 2. And then they say, what must I do? You count 1, 2, and then you concentrate on the next number. When they say count off to 2 decimal point, you're going to count 1, 2, and concentrate on the third number. What do you do with the third number? If the number is less than 5. So when they say if the number, they mean the number that you've counted, the number that I've highlighted in red. If that number is less than 5, round down. What do we mean by round down? By dropping all the digits to the right of this point. Okay, let's go back to our example. 0.26. So the number, they say 2 decimal places, so it's 1, 2 is that number. Then I look at this number. Is this number less than 5? Yes, it's less than 5. So it means I'm gonna drop all these numbers, including the one that I was choosing with. All of these numbers I'm not gonna write. So the number that I've rounded off to 2 decimal place, it will be 0.26. That's how you round off. Now let's look at another example. Example 2, they say write 3,2685 to 3 decimal place. We're going to have 3,2685. They say to 3 decimal place. So we're going to go to where the decimal point is and count 3 numbers. The numbers that are before the decimal, we do nothing with them. You go here, you go to your right, you count 3. Because they said 3 decimal place. So you count 3 numbers. 1, 2, 3. So the number that you're going to fiddle with is the 4th one. So we're going to fiddle with this one. Right? Now let's read in our instruction number B. It says, if the number is greater than or equal to 5. So you remember this one, it said less than 5. So they don't count 5 twice. In this one, 5 doesn't belong. It's only less than 5. This one, it's greater or equal to 5. It starts from 5 going up. It's greater or equal to 5. Round up. They say we must round up. What does rounding up mean? It means we're adding a number to the number that you are rounding off to and dropping all the numbers to the right of it. So you remember they said we must round off to 3 decimal place. So we look at the 4th one, and if the 4th one is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we're gonna round up. It means we're gonna add on the 3rd one and drop all the other numbers that we are not using. Let's go back to our example. Okay, so 5. It's 5, so it means we're gonna add. Where do we add? We add on this one. So we're gonna add 1 here. Our answer will be 3,269. That's rounding up. And then we don't write that 5. And all the other numbers, if you had more numbers here, would not write them. So this is how we round off if we are rounding up. If that number that we're looking at, it's 5 or more. Let's look at the last example. So the second rule is ensure that you add or keep 0 as a placeholder. Okay, I have an example that is going to explain what do I mean by this. Let's look at our example 3. They say write 3,99999 to 4 decimal place. Okay, so my number is 3,99995. Okay, to 4 decimal place. So I'm going to go to the comma and count 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it means I'm going to deal with the 5th one, right? Now, when I look at the 5th one, is it less than 5 or more than 5? It's 9. It's more than 5. So the rule says I must add 1 on this one. When I add 1 on this one, it becomes 10. So I can't write 10. 10 is units and 10. The 0 is units, the 1 is 10. So it's going to go to the next one. This one is going to be 10. Also, 1 plus 9, it should be 10. So it means going to go to this one. 1 plus 9 is going to be 10, going to go to this one. 1 plus 9 is 10, is going to go to this one. So this one is going to be 4. So your answer will be 4. Everywhere here, it will be 0. 4, comma. How many zeros are you going to write? They depend on that one. This one will be 0, 0, 0, 0. Because they said to 4 decimal place, every placeholder that is supposed to be in the decimal place, you write a 0 for it. If they said 2 decimal place, it will look like that. You'll have 2 zeros. 4 decimal place, it looks like that. But this number, every 0 after the comma, if there's no number after that 0, all these numbers, they don't count. You write them because they said 4 decimal place. But when you read this number is 4. It's just 4. All the zeros after the comma, if there's no number after the zeros, they don't count. So that's what that statement says. Ensure that, and you put zeros. When somebody is marking your script, he's going to see that you understand the 4 decimal place. That's why you have 4 zeros after the comma. Okay, when you are rounding off, what is very important is to read. They say round off to what? That statement is telling you how many numbers must you leave after the comma. When they say round off to 4 decimal place, they mean leave 4 numbers after the comma. Round off to 3 decimal place, they mean leave 3 numbers after the comma. Round off to 2 decimal place, they mean 2 numbers after the comma. How do you leave those numbers? You follow the rules. But your answer must have 2 numbers after the comma, 3 numbers after the comma, depending on how many decimal place they said you must round off to. This is the end of our lesson. Please subscribe and thank you for watching.